There we go. Microphone is muted too. What's up, YouTube? I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Travis and all of his cronies there because I see I got 3 downvotes on my video about him. So let's just talk about those 3 people who downvoted on that video. If it was 3 people, it might have just been Travis 3 times too much. But anyways, the kind of people who would downvote that video are either the kind of people who um, don't disapprove of the things Travis has done. So just to reiterate what he's done, like back in high school, he stole $400 from his friend Josh and got the cops involved. So he didn't really steal it from his mom, but back before he started going crazy as an adult in his 20s, I remember there was one month when I think he was working full time and he just spent all his money on like booze and cigarettes, fast food, weed, of course, because he loves his weed. And even though he's working, he went to his mom and she gave him like $800 for rent or something. And then he blew that money, and then he just went to his mom. He's like, "Yeah, I need another $800," and she gave it to him. She just like throws money out. So he's got his parents there to feed his drug habit, guy. But yeah, later on, near the end of his 6 years at Donald's, yeah, so it's not the thief and swindler part of it, but I will get into it quickly. Um, there was way before he got fired, wait a year or two or whatever. I worked there for a couple months with him, and unfortunately, I slipped on some ice and I hit my head, and I got a very serious concussion, and I had a psychosis, concussion-induced psychosis, and it was very frightening because I just wasn't in the right place in my head. The world was like falling apart. I thought, for some strange reason, I thought like every fiction I ever read was like real. Like there was just no line between reality and like make believe in my head. It was really weird. Like at one point I thought I could transmute metal and like make it like turn into something else, disappear. Like Metal Alchemist, because I was watching that at the time. But at the time, Travis was extremely jealous because there was this coworker of his named Carrie who was not interested and like asked me to tell him that she wasn't interested, and then um, didn't say no to a movie date with me, but said she wasn't feeling well, and let me walk her home. When we got to her apartment, we hung out for like 30 minutes and just kept chatting, even though she wasn't feeling well. But unfortunately, I hit my head, and Travis took advantage of it. Tried to get me fired, and tried to say I was like giving him death threats, which was weird because even though like I was out of it, and it was frightening. I don't know why I'm weird. I remembered all of it. That just makes it more frightening. So, kind of really pathetic of him to do that, and like do it to anybody is a horrible thing, but to do it to someone like that he grew up like we grew up on the same street, our family like someone close. His mom babysat me and I think our friend Neil, who but anyways, stay on topic. So he tried to get me fired. Eventually, he did. Like they're like, that doesn't sound right, and we don't really believe. They didn't say they didn't believe him because they had to take it serious. They're like, oh, okay. And I ended up losing my job for other reasons because I was just like, woo, where is it? But him and his cronies, Kalen Burke, who showed up in Lifted Bros videos in the beginning, and Sean Orr, who I actually worked with. I can say that because I can talk about who I work with. And he chose to publicly hop on YouTube with his name there and fucking bully me. And there are videos on my other account, which is just my name, Dustin Smith, like full name. I don't know, very common name. So what are you gonna do with it? But yeah, like so Travis and his cronies, I like to call them, have this idea that like if a friend gets a head injury and say like the friend's living on their own and like no one's really like checking up on them and you're hanging out with him and he's not acting right, it's Travis and Sean's opinion that it's 100% the responsibility of that friend to go themselves to the hospital and get help. But if you have such a bad head injury that you don't understand that you have a bad head injury, you're not going to go to the hospital. You're going to think everything's fine. And like, I thought like reality was like blending in with like all these cool like fiction. So like, like life was like exciting and like it was sort of like a weird, crazy adventure, but it ended up obviously going nowhere and being very frightening in retrospect. But at the time, like I wasn't gonna be the kind of person to go out. So his argument makes no sense logically, and it just proves what kind of horrible people that Travis and his friends are. And those three people who uploaded that video. So once again, if you downvoted that video, if you downvote videos where I'm just saying, hey, watch out, this guy stole a shit ton of money from people and swindled it out of other people, just saying, be careful. Hopefully he's not up to it anymore, but you never know. And judging by his behavior, not wanting to take responsibility and like just bullying his victims, it doesn't seem like he's not gonna do that kind of stuff anymore. So you're either kind of, if you downvote the videos, you're either the kind of person who supports that kind of behavior or the kind of person who's indifferent and just doesn't want it being talked about, which is just as bad as supporting it because it has the exact same effect. It enables it and creates a society where it's okay to do these things because you get away with it. And again, like Travis's reasoning, oh, I'm not a criminal, I was never convicted. But you did steal the money. You never gave it back. You gave the $400 back to Josh, Travis, but you never gave back any of the other money. I know it. Never gave back my money that he promised to pay back. Yeah, so fast forward a year after the head injury, like I recovered and I was working at Montana's, and the people I worked with were, on one hand, that they ended up being kind of dicks near the end, but maybe they would have been nicer to me if they didn't think I was a loser because I was stuck living with my parents. I was like, oh, I don't care if you're 23, you have to be home at 11. Unless if you're working, you can be like worried you might like die out of just being out, not at home. But on the way home from work, you won't get in a car accident or anything. It's like it's really weird. It's like whenever I'd be out having a social life, she'd be like, "No, you're at home," and there'd be like a 19-year-old guy who just turned 19 that we worked with. That was back like the one or two nights where I was allowed to stay out late, testing it out. Like, no, like so, yeah, I got to go out with him on his birthday or whatever when he was finally of legal age, and a couple like one or two times after that, and that was it. So and it was weird because the guy who just turned 19, he's going out drinking like 3 or 4 times a week probably, and his mom didn't have any problems about it. Oh, and when we stopped at his place on the way downtown, fucking smoked a bong in his living room, like right next to his mom. It was just like, wow, only my mom could be like a tiny bit chill. But yeah. So yeah, it got to the point where like I just wasn't able to hang out with them. Like things were kind of not really the greatest. It wasn't 100% their fault. Obviously, a little bit of might have been my fault. Not perfect. Um, but me and Travis made up, and that was at the point when Travis told me that he got fired because he gave someone his manager code, and they stole money, and they got caught stealing money, and he got fired because he gave his code away. And he also told me he was living with his fiance at the time, and he also told me that when he got fired, he was living with someone he worked with, just one guy. He only talked about one guy, and he said that they got evicted because his roommate couldn't pay the rent, and his roommate was a heroin addict, and he was spending a lot of money on heroin. And so I bought into that, and I was good at financially, and I actually ended up like I don't know how long it might have been, like 6 months or whatever. I ended up lending him over the course of time up to about $1,200, just spotting him for cash, or like if I wanted to go out and like go grab drinks, or like go see a movie, go to the bar. I don't think Arcadia was there. I think it was my bar back. I just spotted him, and every time I was like, are you sure you're okay? You're gonna pay me back?" And he was like, 100% confident, no like hesitation or doubt or anything. And then I ended up actually moving in with him and his fiance and his mom in this big house on Montreal Street. And then this girl named Mackenzie came forward, if I remember her name correctly. And she like me thought it was good to warn people about this guy. And she saw like I was hanging out with him and posting on Facebook and whatnot, so she thought it was worth warning me about him. So eventually he went and did what he's doing now, where he's acting like he's a successful YouTube personality. But as far as like content creators go, like it's really pathetic, and he's just started like just tweeting about like narcissistic tweets, like, "Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, I'm smoking this. Oh, work, work, work. Oh, days off." It's like, okay, great. Like, don't you have any friends to talk about this shit? I don't know. Kind of stuff where like a celebrity, if they posted that stuff, they'd have like fans who they'd actually be interested in it, but like no one's around except there's this one um account. It looks like it's owned by like two girls, and when I first like saw it, like I looked at the stuff they were tweeting, and it was really gross. Like there was one picture, they looked kind of like a picture, and then there was another thing. I think it was like a meme, and it was something about like dad getting mad at like her flirting with his son, and like her reaction would be to like have sex with like both of them or something weird like that. It's like, oh, okay, like watch too much weird family porn shit. But anyways, see, that and it seems to be like she's like showing up and liking and retweeting his stuff, and wasn't looking very good for him, so he went private on Twitter. It's funny, he can't make up his mind. He keeps going like public, private, public, private. And for a while there, he was blocking my accounts that I use to warn people, and it only goes so far. Like I'm only putting in so much effort. If people are looking at his posts and they're curious, all they have to do is click show more, and they'll see the tweets there. So it's like no problem, and it does get automatically hidden. That's okay, whatever. I could actively go out to each and one of his friends, but obviously that would piss people off because he surrounds people who upvote, or sorry, downvote the videos and don't want truth about him going out. And like, I'm not saying it to like smear him. Like he's done these things. It's on him. And he's shown no remorse. Just like swindled his way out of it, lied his way out of. And Mackenzie person coming out for it. Oh yeah, and sorry, I interrupted myself in the story there. Mackenzie also said that she was the second roommate of his, and the first roommate that he accused of spending all his income on heroin so that he couldn't pay rent was actually a recovering addict, and he was doing very well and trying really hard. And Travis was responsible for taking their rent and delivering it to the landlord. So Travis had actually taken their rent for 2 or 3 months, and he was hiding eviction notices. Like he'd be checking the mailbox like early in the morning every day or whatever he had to do to get them. And then they eventually got evicted. Like the police showed up. They're like, "You've been here too long. You haven't been paying rent. You got to move." And they're just like, "What?" And Travis has probably had that guilty look on his face. But yeah, so I found out, and I was pissed off because like he fooled me. He's like played the victim, and like if I knew he got fired for stealing money himself, and like was living in that tiny basement apartment with his fiance before we moved because he was doing horrible fucking like stealing and shit, and I would obviously not lend him a single cent. He didn't deserve anything, but that's kind of like, that's what he doesn't deserve. And then when people find out, he always has people surrounding him, but I don't know how. He either bends the truth and somehow can make some weird, convincing story, or he just surrounds himself with people who, kind of people who either do that kind of shit themselves, they would do it to other people, the kind of shit Travis does, or they're just the kind of people who don't care. And either way, that they're pretty pathetic people. Like I'd go as far as to say monsters. Like you're not decent people. You're not humane humans. Going on here is my nano leaf gonna respond. So the voice is not responding. Well, it's not connected to Wi-Fi. I'm like 99% sure problems on the app side. I did want to set it to just like a soft white, but it's on Netflix right now, so it cycles through like Netflix colors, red and dark red and off because there's a lot of black in it. But yeah, so Travis, and I don't know how. Oh, and sorry, did I say Mackenzie? Also, I think the first thing that she said was that he didn't get fired for giving someone his code. He was actually caught on camera stealing the money that went missing. So I don't have a number. I was just told hundreds for weeks. So depending on how many weeks went by and how many hundreds per week he stole, he could have stole over 1,000 from them. Rent, like 3 months from two people, that's like 300, $400 a person a month, probably. A lot of money. But anyways, he bought a $2,000 engagement ring for his fiance. After he cut me out of his life, eventually they broke up. That's a little bit karma, but at the same time, like, why would you go to such lengths to steal so much money to buy such an expensive engagement ring for someone who's not even going to stick around? Like, just doing horrible things for nothing, nothing came out of it really. So shout out to you, Travis, and shout out to your friends who showed up and downloaded my video. You can do that all you want, but my story is sound. Like it's what actually happened. It's what I was told. And then when I was told all those things by McKinsey, I went to Travis. I was like, "Is this true?" And he said, "Yes." He admitted to it. So I'm either an eyewitness or I was told things that I wasn't there for that Travis admitted to. So if he admitted to things that he didn't actually do, then that just goes more to show like um, how he's a pathological liar. It'd be better that he didn't actually do all those things that he admitted. But the only reasonable reason I can think of for him to admit to things that he didn't do is if he did worse things and be admitting to the lesser evil, get him off the hook a little bit. I don't know. Come on, maybe I'll just restart my phone. But yeah, hats off to you. Thanks for keeping the world the way that it is. People like you break the rules. You create crimes with victims. You don't just you're not like Robin Hood. You're not like stealing from a big corporation that's insured. You're just stealing from friends and family and the people who give you a job. If you're not one doing those things like Travis, you're someone who's supporting him. So just take a good, long, hard look at yourself. And I encourage you to engage me and let's talk about this. Let's see Travis defend himself because the last time that happened, I just got those really weird bullying insult comments, like the weird one that's like, oh, if a friend falls and hits his head and he's out of it and he doesn't know to go to the hospital, it's still his responsibility to get to the hospital. Like, as far as Travis is concerned, like, we had other friends, but like, the two of us knew each other the longest, so you'd think he'd be the first person. But nope, it was not his responsibility. If roles were reversed, I can guarantee I would have taken care of him. But that's not how it turned out. Anyways, I got better things to do than give shout outs to people who downvote videos that are 100% accurate and obviously there to warn others. Like, I 100% encourage you, Travis. Speak out. Try a little bit harder. Do something better than what's recorded on my other YouTube account. And it's funny because I think he reported my initial video, but he either didn't report all of them or he wasn't able to get them all taken down. And maybe it's because in the first one, maybe it's because I was just like Travis Stimpson of Lifted Bros. And after that, I was like, okay, so he has this weed channel. He connects himself to it with his full name on Facebook. If you go into Facebook, type it in, you'll be like, oh, Travis Stimpson. So, and all these things that I'm talking about, I was either the victim of giving him money that I'm never going to pay back, or I was I wasn't the witness to him making other victims, but I was told about it and he admitted to it. So, however you want to look at it, to you. Anyways, we got better things to do. My conscience is clear. I know that I'm doing my part. I could go a little extreme and then probably just fuel the idea that I'm crazy and go to all his friends on like Facebook and like message them individually. I don't know. It's a shame though because Travis had a lot of potential, but he was always this weird, um, mischievous, manipulative, two-faced guy. He was very jealous with me. Like we grew up on the same street. We could have felt more like best friend. Like we were best friends. We like hung out all the time, but it never really felt like we were best friends. Like he was always jealous. There was always stupid rivalry. He would jam with everybody but me. I think there was like one time I played his drum kit in his basement. All he did was just make fun of me. And it was my first time like just going in front of drums. It's just like this is very condescending. And then there's that whole thing in I think I was in grade 9 and him and his friends were in grade 10. And it was his friends from Acadie, the French immersion, and they all wanted to start a band. It's like, oh, I want to be in. It's like, yeah, sure. And I was in it for a while, and I don't know. I think they were just like gearing up for the first practice or whatever, and trying to decide a name, and they ended up deciding Flick. And I came up with the spelling for it. I don't think it was anything special. I think it was just like, oh, let's just do FLIK and not have a C. They're like, yeah, that's cool. And so Travis came to me. He's like, I'm really sorry. Like, I really tried to get them to want you in the band, but they just don't want you in the band. I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, okay. And like we stayed friends and like kept hanging out. And then with Alex Becker, whatever his name was, guy came forward. As far as I'm concerned, he was the leader of the band, and Travis was like a piece of shit. Tag along for the ride. This guy came forward. He's like, oh yeah, just so you know, because maybe I was like pissed off about them, and we want to set the record straight. It's like we had no problem with you. It's just Travis was like really he was the one complaining about you, and he said he didn't like you and didn't want you in the band. So fucking two-faced. Like if you don't fucking like me, then why do you fucking hang out with me all the time? Because maybe people don't like you because you're two-faced. People probably didn't like me because I was weird and anxious and shy and clumsy, awkward. I was always very smart, but it took me a long time to get like street smart. And I was never like witty and like on the ball smart. I was like the kind of guy who'd like never have anything, never have a good comeback, and then like walk away and like come up with like the best comeback. And I was just smart, but I just didn't take my time really. So on my feet, and like when it came to street smart, just kind of stupid and awkward, socially clumsy and whatnot. But at least that's why people didn't like me. It's not like I was two-faced. Anyways, I got better things to do. Hopefully, you got better things to do than downvoting this stuff and supporting Travis.